Pandemonium reigns.
Now or never. This is the banner that hangs over Oxford, Mississippi. If it's not 2024, when is it? The roster has taken a significant upgrade. Yeah, a few are out, but a lot are in. You got 12-team playoff.
Reigns.
This has to be it. This has to be it. It's now or never for Ole Miss football and Lane Kiffin. This is Pandemonium Reigns. I'm Dan. He's Mike. We're going to talk all things Ole Miss. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Man, I'm better now that I'm seeing your face. Look at them Goldilocks.
Hey, man, brother. Right back at you.
Just going to need you to, dye those things blonde.
Some frosted tips or something. That's what we need.
Calling you Rapunzel before too long.
That's where we're heading. That is where we're heading. Let down your hair.
Yeah, man. Well, hey, dude, I'm super excited to talk Ole Miss. Yeah, for those listening out there in the digital world, he and I were texting back and forth like, here are two options. Really unsure on both, and I sent a text. I said, wait. Ole Miss, we got to talk Ole Miss. Season is right around the corner. They are a significant player in the college football world and the college football playoffs, so they must be discussed. And I want to set it up this way, dude. Check this out. Take the late 1980s, okay?
Yeah.
And move the digital advancements of the current world to that time. So in the late 80s, you've got Twitter, and you've got Instagram, and you've got the World Wide Web, and you have all the things that you have now. And you've got this program in Miami, right, who is just got all the swagger, and they've got all the chatter, they've got all the buzz, everybody's talking about them. Not only do they win, it's the manner in which they win, dancing in the end zone, and just all those things.
Yeah.
And let's say the unknown is who the head coach is. Tell me the guy's not Lane Kiffin.
Dude. I mean, transfer that question to if our floor plays out for Mario this year.
Absolutely.
Why not?
Absolutely.
Why not?
Absolutely. Ole Miss is the present. I mean, if anybody's got a swagger about them, it's got to be Ole Miss, right? I mean, they're making passive aggressive videos regarding players that they have that former team no longer has.
Yeah,
it's got to be Ole Miss. It's got to be Ole Miss.
It's crazy. They've got the swag. They don't care, man. They don't care. They'll say anything, I think, to anybody. Sometimes it backfires on Lane. We've seen it.
Sure.
He's still, for example, looking for a win over Alabama. So,
and he's not going to get it.
Yeah, exactly. Because they're not going. These two aren't going to Atlanta. These two. One of them, sure, maybe. Both of them.
Pray that into existence, my man. Pray it into existence.
I'd take it. I would take it.
Absolutely.
Popcorn would be ready.
Popcorn would be ready. And I think your probability is spot on. I don't think it's totally out of the question, but I do agree with you. Probability says no.
Yeah, not these two.
Right.
Probably not.
Right. So you've got, in order to talk 24, I think you need to talk 23 just a little bit. I mean, they go 11-2. That's 10 plus wins for the second time in their history, if I have that right.
Correct.
They handle a Penn State in a bowl game, which make what you want to of that. However, they go 10-2 on the year, only losses to Bama and Georgia. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to like the direction in which you're trending. And now you look at a 24, and you said it before we hopped on here, what an extremely favorable schedule, right? We always talk about, we go through here, we mark the wins, and I was like, oh, shoot, win. And then you look at the portal additions. Yeah, they lost some. Quinshawn Judkins, I don't care who comes in. That's a loss because just of how good he is. But then you talk about into Oxford is Walter Nolan. Into Oxford is, I'm going to butcher this, Princely U. Let's just call him that, right?
Princely U.
I'm not gonna attempt the last name.
Juice
Wells, Henry Parrish, and taking a jab at the Vols, Brandon Turnage.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to. If you're an Ole Miss fan, I mean, okay, nobody shows emotion more than you do. You are. I mean, you are the epitome, Michael Emotion Walker. You're an Ole Miss fan going into this year. Like, what are you feeling? What are you thinking?
You know how quick I am to turn, how fast I think you need to pull the plug sometimes on a coach, or probably in Lane's case, you hope that he leaves. You're not going to fire Lane Kiffin, but if this is not 10-2 is a minor disappointment, 11-1 maybe your ceiling, but the schedule is so favorable that you really need to do it. You really need to do it.
Yeah.
And you're talking about, Georgia. That's what we're looking at here. That's one of two or one of one losses in those two scenarios I just gave you.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to get to that game. Boy, what an uphill battle it is, just no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
But in a schedule like this, and you're Lane Kiffin, I'll tell you this. This is the best way I think I can say it. It can't be 52-17 again. And it's at home.
Mm-hmm.
All these factors. Georgia's lost some serious weapons, some of their firepower that they've relied on the last couple of years since they've kind of modernized.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be 52-17. It cannot be.
Agreed.
I'm going to need you to give me 24 points, probably minimum, and you got to find some stops because, I think a lot of people are quick to blame teams for their poor defense at times. LSU last year, Tennessee over the last few years. Ole Miss doesn't get enough talk on that, though they're winning more games than they have in their history.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to find stops, even in big games like this, because it's one of your only ones on your schedule.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Say what you want to about Kiffin. He's going to find the end zone. He's going to do it. And you talk about the defensive side of things. You add guys like Walter Nolan and Princely U. This games in this conference are, in the sport, they're one in the trenches. That's a great addition. I don't care who you are. So you take that, and then you talk about Jackson Dart being in his third year in this system under Lane Kiffin.
Yeah.
I think he's only going to get better.
He should.
Where does he rank for you in quarterbacks in this conference? Now, you did this thing last year when we did that whole ranking. You nailed Carson Beck,
I hate to say that I did.
Quarterback in the conference.
I hate to say that I did.
I questioned your loyalty there for a moment, but you were right. But now, there's a case for Dart, right?
There's a case for Dart. I'm still taking Milroe because of his versatility and because I think, these are just guys over Dart, not just like, Milroe won. I think Beck is probably still one. I don't see any reason to bump him down. Yeah, they lost weapons and he's going to have to prove some more things, but he's going to have time and he's going to have weapons that they'll develop to do so. Milroe's up there. Established guys that we known commodities, because I'm not going to come out here and say Jackson Arnold, Nico, right there with him. I'm not going to do that. Even if it was a hot take that I wanted to make, I'm not going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Known commodities, he's fourth at worst. Probably third. Yeah. Nobody's going to talk about Graham Mertz enough because nobody saw him doing what he did last year. And it's going to be a mediocre record unless Napier turns water into wine in Gainesville, where nobody's rooting for that. But yeah, probably I would say third at best, fourth at worst. And the potential, depending on how the seasons play out for those two at the top and developing new weapons, new offensive schemes, new coaches. The door is cracked open for Dart to have the best season among them.
Yeah, dude. Like, paint a scenario where you're building a team from scratch. You spin the wheel for every position. Your quarterback wheel lands on Jackson Dart. You're feeling pretty dang good.
Yeah, there's only some minor things that you can really knock him on, and he brings a lot to the table to make up for it. He's a little bit of a gunslinger for me. I think Lane wants that, though.
I think he wants that mentality. Yeah.
He wants that mentality. He wants you to take chances, and he wants to throw the clipboard over his head, yada, yada. So it's really a perfect marriage at the end of the day, Dart and Kiffin.
Absolutely.
And he's got the best weapons he's ever had now with Wells. And, just you name it. Trey Harris is back.
Yes.
Dude, you name it. So they're just loaded.
It's insane what they're going to be able to do despite losing Judkins.
Yeah, and they use Judkins the way you should use a modern running back. Pass it to him. They're going to run it with him, and you're not going to see it coming sometimes. They're going to do it fast with a lot of tempo. But they've done some of those things with Ulysses Bentley already. Mm-hmm. We've already talked about Parrish coming back. Think about this. Judkins did crazy things as a freshman and a sophomore, so has Lane found another one of those perhaps that we don't know about yet?
Mm-hmm.
There's just so many factors for this offense to be otherworldly.
Yeah, and okay, so there you go. You mentioned Bentley. Name a running back in this conference better than Bentley, not named Etienne.
It's a bit of a down here at the position in the conference. There's that. There's terrible injuries happening at the position at Texas. They had C.J. Baxter coming back, obviously.
Assuming you're right.
But yeah, I mean, and for Georgia, that's a transfer. They've already got some guys homegrown that they're just waiting to unleash if it works out for them, if things go to plan. I wonder about where Roy Dale Williams might land if he was still in the conference. I know they're excited about Jam Miller, and they're excited about my man who squats approximately 3 pickup trucks at one time. His name's escaping me right now, but they're really excited about him as a sophomore redshirt freshman. But yeah, man, I mean, come on, he's right there at the top of the list. Probably again, no lower than third, probably second is Ulysses Bentley, because again, like it's his second or third year in the system, and when Judkins ever got tired, it's Bentley's show already. So
absolutely, I think Bentley can be an every down back.
I do too, and especially when you've got somebody to pair with him like Henry Parrish, that you can just throw in diversity, throw in skill sets, and all those things. Nobody's going to be tired, and it's going to be fresh legs. Yeah, I mean, it should be work out really well for them.
Yeah.
I want to throw 2 things at you before I know we're getting close to getting into the schedule, but I wanted to throw 2 things at you real quick. Obviously, Lane Kiffin's heavily involved with the offense, play calling. Can you tell me the co-offensive coordinator for the Ole Miss Rebels?
Oh, gosh. I can tell you
played quarterback in this conference. Played quarterback in this conference 10 to 15 years ago now. 12 to 15, I would say.
I'm going to answer your question with a question. Does it matter?
It only matters because when I saw his name on their website, which is a piece of trash because everybody's is, I was like, wow, there's a blast from the past. It's none other than Joe Cox, who coached Alabama's tight ends last year.
What?
And formerly played quarterback, of course, for the Georgia Bulldogs.
Never would have guessed that.
Never. I would have never been able to tell you that. And a stark difference.
Blake Sims.
Yeah. Stark difference from I think he started out with Levy, was his first coordinator there when they were doing things with Matt Corral. Yeah. The other thing I was going to throw at you is 247 Sports has ranked transfer portal classes for about 3 years now. 2022 is the first one. Ole Miss, second, first in those 3 years. So Dabo he likes for his players to transfer from high school. Lane will take them from anywhere. He don't care.
Lane don't care.
He don't care. He does not care.
And in this world, if Lane Kiffin's my head coach, I'm not complaining at all. I'm not complaining at all, because I wanted to add 2 points to that. One, he plays the portal game. 2, and we really saw this in his time with Bama, even when they were loaded with talent in every position room. He was so good about getting the best players touches. I mean, think about the opening play of the 2014 Tennessee Bama game, what he did with Amari Cooper. I mean, Bama hadn't put that on film all season, and he exploited a major weakness for us, which was team speed sideline to sideline. And he said, watch this. So he's going back to what I said earlier. He's going to find the end zone. He's going to do it. Can he get stops? I like what he's done in the portal. I mean, what high school kid at 18 years old doesn't want to come play for Lane Kiffin right now?
Man, I don't know. I don't know. And, it's going to be interesting to see when the population in college football gets a little bit younger again as COVID eligibility wears out. Does Lane continue to do this? And a lot of that, I think, will be based on how this year goes when he's gone all in on the portal. I mean, just about. So, it'll be really interesting. But, I mean, I'm with you. Why would you not want to play for him, especially as an offensive player? Even as a defensive player, it's like, let me get that offense the ball back is my take. They're only going to be moving up with a pretty average job this year, I think. Pretty average job gets you 9-10 wins, just about guaranteed. So it should be really fascinating to see the evolution continue for Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's get into the schedule. So the first thing that you're going to notice on this schedule, no Bama, no Texas, no Tennessee.
Yeah.
So Ole Miss has pinned themselves as one of the top teams in this conference. Georgia, Bama, Texas, Oklahoma, Tennessee. Am I missing anybody? I mean, they're in this conversation, and they've missed 3 of those top, so that plays extremely well into their favor. Can we do this? Can we go ahead and pin them 6-0?
Yeah, we can pin them 6-0.
Furman, Middle Tennessee, at Wake Forest, Georgia Southern, Kentucky, at South Carolina.
Yeah,
Talking
and
about Kentucky and at South Carolina just for a minute. Is that 6? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's
yeah.
6. Say what you want to about Kentucky, the longevity of Stoops. This game is at home, right? It's in Oxford. It's the arguably what the true test that they're going to get all year. We don't know what Kentucky has in Vandegrift. They're coming off these forfeited games that they're having to give up in 2021.
Oh,
Can Stoops redeem his locker room from that whole Texas A&M debacle? I think it's too much. Give me Ole Miss. I also think Ole Miss, South Carolina could be played on the moon. This could be. I mean, you could go 11 versus 9. Let South Carolina play with 11. Let Ole Miss play with 9. I don't like it. I don't like it. Any way that you spin this for South Carolina, I don't care that it's in Columbia. I don't care if it's a night game. I don't care. Ole Miss.
Ole Miss, yeah, like they probably aren't breaking a sweat before Kentucky, and Kentucky might make you break a sweat if the locker room forgives Stoops. If Kentucky, man, they've got to get the ball to those receivers. Dane Key, Barryon Brown, surely Vandegrift can do that because we've seen transfer quarterbacks do that when those guys were freshmen, and I think they're going to be juniors or seniors this year.
Yeah,
that's the path for Kentucky. They don't have probably the run game that we've seen them rely on is not enough of a word, but that's what I'll use just for now because I don't have an almanac in my face. But yeah, I don't see Ole Miss breaking a sweat on the road at Wake Forest. They're certainly not going to in those other 3 games in that fixture there. Dude, Lenore Sellers is going to be so tired in Columbia that day because he's either going to be getting sacked or he's going to try to throw the ball and he's going to get hit or he's going to be running for his life for about 4 yards of a gain, if that, with Princely, Walter Nolan. We already know the level of pressure that Ole Miss loves to bring in general. And to your point about playing 11 on 9, how many times have we seen Ole Miss line up with some funky 2 men down front, just wacky things that they do defensively and sometimes make it work.
yeah.
Other times they get into barn burning games. That's not going to be the case in Columbia. South Carolina could pull like they're all team guys out of the pros for the past few years, and I don't think it would be enough because they've got other gaps that are just gaping and they can't keep up in this game.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. You and our listeners have heard me say 1,000 times. I won't be surprised if. I will be surprised if South Carolina pulls it off.
Yeah, and in fact, I'll say this: I would be surprised if Kentucky pulled it off because it is at Ole Miss, because it's another new quarterback to the system. I don't even know what phase of the offensive coordinator roulette they're in right now. I don't remember if Homeboy went back to the NFL. I don't remember if he's back. He couldn't make it work with Levis. He didn't make it work that well with my man from NC State last year. It's just weird. It doesn't add up. Stoops is the best coach that they've had in my lifetime, certainly. And this is just one of those games that Kentucky drops until they don't.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. All right, so then this is where it gets interesting, right?
Sure does.
We're going to travel to LSU. I've got 9 asterisks up against this one. Here's why. I think this is the most important game on their schedule.
I couldn't agree more.
I think if you lose this, it sends you down a potential rough path. But if you win it, it means a lot. This game was electric last year in the sense that nobody could stop a nosebleed. Nobody could stop anything. Give me a night game, but give me Ole Miss to come out on top until LSU, again, the last time we talked about these guys, they can prove that they can stop somebody defensively.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a hard time picking. I think the only thing that I can find favor with LSU right now is it's year 3 with Kelly, and he's traditionally done work in year 3. He went to a New Year's Six Bowl, year 3 Cincinnati, went to a national championship, year 3 Notre Dame. Here we are, LSU, year 3. Jaden Daniels is gone, though. I mean, He bailed you out of so many situations. His legs, his arm alike. He's gone. Can Nussmeier do that? If he can, it's not going to be to the level in which Jaden Daniels did.
Yep.
But I like Ole Miss too much here. Assuming everything is healthy, the additions on defense, Ole Miss wins a emotional they get an emotional win in LSU.
Yeah.
Knock off field goal, whatever it is, blocked field goal. However, it's one of those where instead of partying after you get a win, you go home and you sleep because
Give me some ice.
you're emotionally spent.
Yeah, I'm laying in the ice bath all night here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna speak about this again in a minute, but I don't. We've talked about some favorable buy spots for other teams, and these aren't the worst by any means, but I don't love them.
Could be better.
They could be better because I think that they both come after your two most losable games. Georgia at home, like I've talked about already, LSU on the road. I think those are probably your two most losable games because you're getting Oklahoma at home that we'll get to in a minute. But I'm with you, man. This should be a good game. This should be another one where the scoreboard's like, yo, give me some relief, man. I'm tired. The scoreboard is going to be worn out probably. Yeah. But it comes down to it's Nussmeier instead of Daniels. It's probably you're going to need to put together like 2 or 3 guys to get yourself another Malik Neighbors. They're just not LSU, not who they were the last 10 to 20 years in terms of depth, especially defensively this year, which not the game for your defense to have any issues. We saw that last year. Mm-hmm. Now, I will say this. I don't know. Again, it goes back to probably losability for Ole Miss. LSU is probably the best or second best team to throw at what they're going to bring to your face from the defensive front of Princely, Walter Nolan. LSU is probably right there with Georgia on who's going to block them the best. But that's not going to win you the game if you're still struggling to put drives together, score points, all that. This is, again, the second most losable game for me, but it's a win right now for Ole Miss until I see otherwise.
I'm with you, man. All right, so after that, they're going to travel home and host Vandy. Just kidding. We've actually lost that traditional rivalry. We're trading that one for Oklahoma. They're going to host Oklahoma. I told you, I think that that LSU win was an emotional one. It took something from you.
Yeah.
And until Kiffin can prove to me that he's not going to drop the ones that he shouldn't, or get the one, or get a more signature win, I'm going to stick to what I said in the Oklahoma prediction, and I'm going to say Oklahoma.
Yeah,
I think Oklahoma is going to pick up steam as the season progresses. I think they're only going to get better. I think Oklahoma is a team that you don't want to play in the second half of a season. I'm going to stick to it.
I like it. I like it. I wavered heavily on this one when we were preparing for the Oklahoma episode. In fact, I couldn't tell you what I actually said. I know this game can go both ways.
You picked Ole Miss.
I was thinking that we split on this one. If I would have had a gun in my head, that's what I would have said. I'm going to stick by my pick of Ole Miss because it's now or never, because it's at home, because there's more known commodities. This is, again, right there, probably just behind the LSU game, probably the third most losable game if I'm creating a new category of games over here. But I think Ole Miss pulls it out until they don't. Number of offensive weapons, going to throw plenty at you defensively. Yet again, another tough test. Even though it's getting later in the season, experience is building, brand new offensive line, brand new starting quarterback, got one game under his belt so far. The factors still point me to Ole Miss as of, about a week or 10 days after we talked about Oklahoma.
Okay. After that, they're going to travel to Fayetteville, Arkansas. I like Ole Miss here. I think Arkansas has got too much pressure. Sam Pittman's got too much pressure. They don't have enough talent. They don't have enough depth. I like Ole Miss to get right. And at this point, you've got Ole Miss 8-0 going into this game. And I'm going to bet 9-0 coming out of it. So the media is going to be all over Kiffin. It's going to be, I mean, think about what the manner in which it was for Tennessee in 22 when we hit, I believe, 8-0. All the buzz. This might have even been the week when we were named number one in the CFP. That lasted for 15 minutes, but my goodness, you can't. You remember in 2009 when Lane Kiffin was just doing anything he could to put our brand in the media. Mm-hmm. Now he's got it, and it's because it's for all the right reasons. If you got them 9-0 right here, right after Arkansas.
I do. He's got them, like you're saying. I love what you're saying. Where he's got them in the media, except he's going to call it rat poison, which is going to be real annoying because we know he wants it. We know he loves it. I know the rat poison thing is funny still to an extent, but it's also kind of played out. I've seen plenty of people say that don't be surprised if Sam Pittman is fired by this point of the season. I hope that's not the case, man. I love the guy. Weird situation down there, but sneaky spot since it's on the road, since there's some history here between Ole Miss and Arkansas. They played some dandy games, and Arkansas certainly caught them by surprise more times than they should have for a team to get beat when they're better. Mm-hmm. But yeah, 9-0 is coming, man. Just same thing. Too many weapons, too many known commodities. Yeah, Arkansas is bringing in some excitement with Petrino back. Taylor Green's coming in, yada yada. But I ain't seen it play out in the SEC yet. I ain't seen it against a team that's going to be as loaded as this Ole Miss one has the chance to be.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you. Hosting Georgia. I think you could take everything that you just said and turn it on its head, move the titles to the different sides and just say that Georgia's got too much. Georgia's got too much. I know it's in Oxford. I don't know that it matters. I hope this is as you were saying at the beginning of the episode, it's not a 52-17 situation. I hope it's closer than that. I hope it emotionally exhausts Georgia in some manner. But until I see Kiffin do it, I just can't pick him. I'm gonna have a hard time picking him.
I'm with you. I don't know what the Arkansas can have in store for Ole Miss, but it's probably not enough unless they're just completely looking to Georgia at that point to do much to them. I say that because Georgia's going to cakewalk against Florida the week before these two teams meet. And it's one of those deals where I can't even point to like 2022 Tennessee, Alabama and say, there's their path to beating Georgia. I don't know what it is. It would be like, you got to have Beck running for his life with these guys that you brought in. Oh, wait, you're probably facing the third best offensive line in the country. They're going to develop weapons or at least a go-to guy in the way they've had Bowers for the last 3 years to, by this point in the season, or it's going to be their run game, or it's going to be a combination of 22 5-stars starting for you is what it's going to be. So it's exactly like you said. Flip this between my speech on Ole Miss, Arkansas. That's kind of what this is. I use that a lot. The case is too strong for Georgia for me to pick them to lose this game, even on the road, even Lane Kiffin, yada, yada.
Absolutely. Down to the final two games. We're going to ride this thing out with at Florida, hosting Mississippi State. Who knows what Florida's going to be at this point? I have a hope for what they're going to be at this point. The biggest question, game 11 for Florida is Billy Napier still at the helm, right? That's going to determine everything. Whether he is or he isn't, taking Ole Miss. I know it's in game. Taking Ole Miss.
Same. I mean, I praised Graham Mertz a minute ago. Oh, I will come back to this real quick. The one downside about their bye week placements is if you drop those games, again, Georgia, I think you're dropping. LSU should be a good one. We'll see. Then you've got 2 weeks to think about it, but that means you should come out on fire the week after because you've got to be in the top 12, frankly. You've got to be in the top 12. You've got to limit your losses to one, Georgia. And that's what I think you have to do if you're Ole Miss this year. But Florida, man, same deal. Where are the horses for Florida to do this, for them to block this vicious front, at least defensive front? I don't know about the linebackers. I think the secondary is going to be a little bit better. We'll see. But how are they going to block these guys? Are they going to commit? It's going to be at that point of the season too where if Graham Mertz has had the season that he had last year, is he starting to think, why should I do this? I've probably got some NFL opportunities coming, have a good combine, have a good pro day. And do they turn to Lagway by this point of the season? Do they turn to, the offensive defensive coordinator at this point of the season if it's gone like we think it could? And there's no reason for me to pick Florida. There's just none. The Swamp will, if Florida goes the way that we're saying that it could go, the Swamp will be a funeral home on this Saturday. It will be dead as a doornail, lifeless.
It'll be drained.
It'll be Ole Miss is blue and they're red. It won't be blue and orange for Florida.
I mean, that term is that saying is thrown around all the time. Drain the swamp. It'll be drained.
It will be empty.
It'll be empty. Egg Bowl, Thanksgiving time. I don't know if it's on Thanksgiving or not. Mississippi State. Jeff Lebby just doesn't have enough yet. He just doesn't have enough yet. The one thing that you can say that is in Lebby's favor here is he's worked with Kiffin. So therefore, he knows tendencies. He knows what he likes, what he dislikes. Maybe he even knows some of the playbook. You think Kiffin's an idiot, though? I mean, in some regard, sure, he's an idiot. Sure. Not in this one though. Signs will be changed. Approaches will be different. Even it might even be a situation, Michael, where Kiffin says, I don't care what you know about us. We're just better. We're
Yeah.
better. But we've seen crazier things in the Egg Bowl.
Oh, have we?
But I'm taking Ole Miss.
Yeah, man. Levy's not there yet. I want to root for Jeff Levy. I hope he does well at Mississippi State, and parlays that into a really big job, or even gets Mississippi State going the way that Mullen did back in the day. Something like that. I think the conference needs it. I like Jeff Levy, what I know of him at least this far. But I just laid out. You've done the same thing. Ole Miss 11-1.
I have not done the same thing.
That's right. You've got 10-2. I've gone 11-1.
So that was okay. Good. I'm glad you did this though, because this transitions as well as we get into the final minutes of this. So I've got their ceiling at 11-1. You know, I think they can beat Oklahoma. Won't be surprised if they beat Oklahoma. Won't be surprised if they beat LSU, beating Florida. Not going to surprise me. I just told you that I've got them at 10-2. You're going to tell me. Here's what you're going to do, Michael Walker. You're going to tell me that their ceiling is 11-1, right? And then you're going to tell me that they're hitting their ceiling. That's what you're doing.
Yes, and I'm sitting here thinking while you were talking just then. I'm thinking to myself, this is the best I feel about any of these that we've done. Miami, boy, could we miss there. Florida State, we could probably miss there. Oklahoma, we could miss terribly. They could fire Brent Venables this year. It could get burned down, or Jackson Arnold could be that dude. It could go electrically well, and it's like on the high end of what we talked about for them. I feel really good about this because it's almost like Missouri. Okay, think about Missouri's schedule this year, how bad it is. There's one aspect of that where you're not going to be tested quite as much when you do get into the meat of your schedule, but it's like the meat of this schedule comes with still so many favors that go Ole Miss's way in terms of talent, roster, hosting a team. You don't host LSU, we know that, but I just think this is the year they do it. I think they're really strong. The top end of their portal additions are going to play out, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to have a lot of coaches, I think, considering forgetting about high school kids.
Fair enough. I mean, if he wins good enough, I mean, we're going to change the narrative on the portal even more.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if I finished that Missouri thought, but it's like Missouri, except Ole Miss has a little bit more top end talent than just Luther Burden, just Brady Cook having another good college quarterback year. I think Dart's got more probably pro potential if either of them do. And he's got more weapons than just Luther Burden and another transfer running back.
Fair enough.
And more on defense, I think, as well.
Fair enough. So one final question for you.
All right.
2, correction. Are they in Atlanta?
11-1.
Okay, whoa. Stop. Scratch that.
All right.
It's you can make an argument why they won't be. I think there's a really good argument for them being in Atlanta. There's a really good case. But if they are in Atlanta, it's probably against Georgia, right?
Yes, I think so.
Can they beat Georgia in round 2? Okay. That's what I thought. So I thought you were going to say, man, I know you.
You do. And why did I just shake my head on a podcast? That was a no. I know YouTube will see that, but it's a no. God.
So at least this is the question that I really wanted to get to in our final minutes here. Playoffs. Yes or no?
They're in. 100% they're in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now,
you have to like the chances, man.
Yeah, they're 100% in. 10-2 gets them in, I think. I think, even though this is not on the softer end of scheduling, that 10-2 gets them in. And I think I could coach this team to 10-2. I'm not being a jackwagon when I say that. I mean, the weapons that they have. Hey, guys, tell me about the plays that you run. Oh, yeah, run that one. That would be the conversation. This is a playoff team in this format with this schedule with these players.
The stars have aligned.
This is what you pray for. You pray for times like these.
I'm going to close this thing the way that I ended it. It is now or never for Ole Miss. The turnover that you're going to have going into 25, can you overcome that? Can you do portal magic again? I think it all depends on what you do in 24. 24 is so crucial for Lane Kiffin. I've got them at 10-2. Won't be surprised if they're 11-1. I've got their ceiling at 11-1. Michael's got them at 11-1 with a comparable ceiling at 11-1 as well. Real quick, just throwing this out there, I got their floor at 9-3. I'm probably going to say that you've got 9-3 as well, if I know you. Yep.
Yeah.
9-3.
And I got one other thing. Let's say it's Georgia 11-1. They drop one of those because they're going to play a team they've already played in Atlanta. and let's say Texas, Alabama, and Ole Miss are 10-2. Just I don't know the schedules if that can happen or not. Does Greg Sankey figure it out? Does he have it figured out yet? Who's going to face Georgia and Atlanta? You think by this point?
Just throw a bunch of old heads at a table, give them a suit and tie, and let them decide. Why not?
Absolutely, that's the way you do it.
That's the way you do it, man. Why not? Why not?
Why not?
Hey, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. This has been Ole Miss 2024. It's now or never for Lane Kiffin. If he doesn't do it this year, man, you're going to have to ask yourself, when is he going to do it? Should he have taken the Auburn job if he was offered? Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Make sure you hit like and subscribe on this video. Make sure you comment what you think Ole Miss is going to do in 24. Is it the year for these guys? Thank you so much again for hanging out with us. I'm Dan. He's Mike. God bless. Go Vols.
GBO.
Pandemonium reigns.